Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is your host Majestic speaking, and today I'm going to be going through a little tutorial as promised for MechWarrior Online for some of the new users and some of the returning users who haven't seen any of the new updates or the new interface or anything like that. I'm going to give a brief overview of everything here. And so if you do have anything else that might be unclear or you want to see a tutorial on or something, please leave it in the comment section below or shoot me an email. Let me know what you're thinking, if there's something else that I could help with or provide one-on-one assistance or anything like that, and I'd be more than happy to help. But here we go. So first things first, when you first launch the game, you're launched and you're given these 4 tabs up top. Home just lets you select, whether you want to go to your mech. Your inventory shows you exactly what mechs you have, what items you have. So if I click into it, it tells you which battle mechs that you have, the weapon systems that you have, and how many of each, and how much you can sell them for, only for C-bills. So if I were to sell, 10 of these at 75,000 a piece, I would get 750,000 C-bills, and it would just be reflective down here. It also shows you your equipment, so like which engines and so forth you have, which stuff you have placed on mechs and so forth. These are just things that are currently lying around, so it's stuff that's currently not being used. So if it's currently in a mech, obviously it's not going to show up on this list, because then you'd be taking either an engine or jump jets or targeting comp, anything out of the mechs that you already have, and I mean that's counterproductive. So that's just a little something to share with you guys, so that you don't have to worry about losing any equipment on the guys that you already have fully loaded. So you can also sell modules and so forth. These are the ones that I'm currently not using. And omnipods. So if you have omnipods that you don't need, or that you're looking to get rid of and you just need some extra C-bills, you could sell those as well. So that's pretty much just what the inventory does. It's a way for you to quickly select which equipment you don't need or want and sell it for C-bills. I know I just mentioned this, but I'm sure you are all probably familiar with this by now. When you hit select mech, it drops you into, I have it currently defaulted on assault, because right now I have my Atlas. This is the Boar's Head Atlas displaying. And up here you have the 3 tabs, or other tabs, heavy, medium, and light, where you can select by weight class, or you could select by, whether it's a champion or a hero mech. Or you could just put them all and throw them in there and, pick and choose that way. It might take a little longer to load that way, but hey, I mean, to each his own, right? So I like selecting them, piece by piece, if I know which weight class I want to go by, or if I know I want to level up either a hero mech or a champion mech or something like that, just to build on that. It makes it a lot more simple to use and helps, you figure out exactly where you want to go with the mech and which guy you want to take out next. So it helps categorize them more appropriately by doing that. If I select a weight class and I also select champion and or hero, it will display them all. So it'll only display, however, the heavies that are champions or heroes. It won't do heavy and champion and hero. So if I unselect heavy, or I only switch to medium and I keep champion or hero on, you can see that, every one of them is either a hero mech or a champion mech, depending on this specific weight class. So that's another way that you can categorize who you want to take out. Now let's go into probably the biggest tab on the screen here. This is the loadout tab. And typically, I know I like to show the layout in a column format, which is this, so that you can see the mech and I can specifically tap into each individual component and select which weapons I want to place on there. But when you're doing your loadouts, I highly suggest doing an expanded view, so that you can see exactly which which hard points are available. For instance, there's 1 ballistics hard point available, and I filled it with an AC-20. There's 1, missile hard point here, but I decided to not have any missiles. I only have a heatsink. And when you take these individual components off, for instance, if I take a medium laser off, this will display as 1. I can add one more energy hardpoint here, or one more energy weapon here to fill this hardpoint. That goes for armor slots, heat sinks, your structure, missile guidance, whatever you decide to place on the mech. It kind of walks you through exactly what your mech is capable of doing. So, for instance, this has, down here you can see it says 78 slots. So in total, given my armor, my engine, my ammo, my weapons, everything, my heat sinks, oh, I don't know what happened there. My heat sinks, everything in that matter, it all has to amount to 78 slots. So if you click on this, you can see right over to the right. I don't want to move my cursor over there because then you'll lose the actual image that I'm displaying. But if you see it says type and then slots, you know that each heatsink that you've put in is going to equate to 3 slots, and it costs 1 ton. So you have to balance out between whether you're going to have 3 slots that are filled and 1 ton. So I look down here and I see slot 78, tonnage 100. So it'll be 1 out of 100 if I put a heatsink, and 3 out of 78 if I place a heatsink for the slots. Now, especially when it comes to assault mechs, and to each his own, whether you want to lightly armor your mechs or you want to heavily armor your mechs for defensive purposes, I have 608 out of 614 armor hardpoints filled. And by filling armor hardpoints, you can see it just says like structure slot, foot actuator and stuff like that. Structure slot that also has to deal with your engine and so forth. Excuse me. And what that is essentially, that won't affect necessarily the slots that you're using, but it will affect the tonnage. So if I want to take out a 1 ton of AC ammo, it leaves me with 99 tons left, and I still have 78 slots, which is great. Because if I take that ton out, then I can add 3 more armor points to the legs here, and I can add it to the torso, whatever it allows me to do. So, but now I'm 614 out of 614, and I've only used 99.2 out of my 100 tons. Now, I like to fill my mechs to the brim. I don't like to leave any extra tonnage, so that's the reason why I took some armor points off here, just to get back to an even number of tonnage here so that I can place, one more piece of ammo here in the leg. And that also fills up my 78 slots. So, I'm sure you're wondering, well, how do I make sure that I'm completely optimizing the correct loadout and so forth? Well, that's entirely up to you. For instance, on this guy, I put standard armor, which is just, every mech comes with standard armor. But if you want to make an upgrade to ferrofibrous armor, it gives you 12% more protection per ton. Oh, I could read it right here to you guys. It gives you 12% more protection per ton, but it occupies 14 slots as opposed to these guys, which isn't occupying 14 slots. So, and that's the reason why it's read out right now, because I cannot upgrade because I do not have the slot capacity to place that kind of armor. So I left it with standard armor, which is perfectly fine. It's not the end of the world by any means. But the good thing about ferrofibrous armor is that although it occupies 14 more slots, it weighs less. So you might fill up your slots, but then you'll have some extra tonnage that you can place in there. Now, you have to find, though, the happy medium between whether you want slots or tonnage to be full. And for me, I was more about the tonnage. I kept the standard armor, avoiding the ferrofibrous armor because I wanted to put a bigger engine in it. I have a standard 335 in there right now. And I wanted to fill with more weaponry. So, I only go 54 kph, if you could see down here. But it's the kind of loadout that I was comfortable with in this thing. So, that's just a little tutorial about, the tonnage and the slots. And I mean, the armor here just describes how many armor hardpoints you have and how much it's capable of holding in case you were to max out the armor, for instance. So I'm only 6 points out of 614 away from being maxed on armor, fully armed. Underneath that, we have the heat management. So this just describes how easy it is for your mech to cool down. So if you have a ton of weapons, or for instance this AC-20 or something like that, something that produces a lot of heat, you can look into, like, you can, again, if you hover over it like I have it now, you can see that it says damage 20, heat 6, cooldown 4. So you have to be mindful of that heat rating, because if that heat rating is extremely high, and you have a ton of other weapons in here, like a large pulse laser or something like that, that also contributes a lot of heat, like in this case 7, your heat when you're playing a match is going to spike. And, that's what causes you to cool down. That's what causes you to heat up. I was thinking ahead of myself there. If you want to cool down, if you like the loadout that you have, despite it being hot, you can start going into consumable modules, like a cool shot or something like that, to help drastically and rapidly bring down the heat on your mech in order to be able to refire your weapon more efficiently and quickly. So that's just a little background onto when you're looking at the weapons and so forth. Slots, just how many slots it occupies. We just went over what slots do, so you could see it covers 2 little rows here, so it's 2 slots. How many tons does it weigh? 7. Okay, so it's a little heavier. Obviously, a large is going to be more than a medium. So, this only weighs 1 ton and occupies 1 slot. This is 2 tons, or 2 slots and 7 tons. Gives 11 damage. That's kind of a lot of damage versus 5, which is what my mediums are giving. The heat is what I was just saying, like how much heat it generates inside the mech. Cooldown describes how long it takes for it to cool down. So it takes 3.25 to cool down versus 3 in a medium to cool down. The which is, I'm guessing that just means in seconds, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that means in seconds how long it takes to actually cool down. So when you see that bar, like after you fire it, you see that red bar that comes up on the side, and then it gradually dissipates to where it's fully black again so that you can fire it. That's the cooldown. Duration is just how long it's firing for. So 0.9 seconds. This is 0.67 seconds. So you could see the difference there. So, I mean, a large pulse laser, obviously, since the duration is a lot lower, it won't give away your position as easy. Even that 0.23 seconds, that the difference between the two, might be the difference between whether you're spotted or not. And then it also gives, like, your max range, optimal range, and what kind of health it has. The max range, obviously, being how far it could potentially shoot. Optimal range for the most damage efficiency. And then the health is just how much it can take. So like this thing is giving 11 damage, but my health is 10, so I have to be careful again if I'm fighting up other guys that are giving away 11 or 12 or something damage with their weapons, to keep this thing a little more concealed so that it doesn't get torn off. So as you can see underneath it, they give you that cool little graph that tells you the damage outlay, and up to up to 375 meters, you're doing 11 damage. But as soon as you reach or go beyond that 375 meter threshold, there is a linear decline all the way to 0 once you hit 750 meters. So keep that in mind. This is just a little tutorial on like where your ranges are and where things drop off and what kind of damage they're doing, heat generation, all that kind of stuff, so you can make your mech more effective on the battlefield. I like to keep my heat management. They usually say if it's 1.2 or higher, it's pretty sufficient for itself on the battlefield. It might run a little hot, especially if you're on terra firma or something like that. But 1.2, you add a cool shot and stuff like that, you're not going to be overheating too much unless you hold down on your alpha for like the entire match. So, Back to the upgrades. So I always, and I recommend this to everyone, upgrading heat sinks from standard to double. So, I mean, it's 40% more heat efficient than a standard heat sink, and it weighs the same, but it triples in space. So a standard heat sink is 1 ton, occupies 1 slot. This is 1 ton, but occupies 3 slots. But it's 40% more efficient than a standard heatsink. So highly recommend always getting double heat sinks, and I believe that's a 1.5 million C-bill upgrade to do. When it comes to endosteel versus standard structures, this is the okay. So like it's saying here, it's the bones of the mech, and this standard weighs 10% of the mech's maximum tonnage. So in this case, it's my mech is 100 tons. This weighs 10 tons. It's pretty simple math in this case, but it's a little more heavy than endosteel. And endosteel is made from a lighter endosteel and weighs 5% of the mech's maximum tonnage, but occupies 14 slots. So again, you're giving up slots, but you're also reducing your tonnage. So if you have a ton of slots on the mech and you can afford to, I highly recommend upgrading to ferrofibrous and endosteel. In this case, I decided to go with endosteel structure. So it was only 5% of the mech's tonnage. So in this case, only 5 tons on my Atlas. And this is just a rough example. Whether it's right, wrong, people think it's good, bad, whatever is another story. So, but the cool thing, especially when you're going through your weapons here, ballistics are like all of your autocannons, your Gauss rifles, machine guns. Energies, it can be your flamers all the way up to large pulse lasers, PPC, and ER-PPC. So whenever there's a laser hardpoint, and you have both the slots and the tonnage to fit it, you can just click and drag it into that slot. So, if I were to take my large laser off, and then medium laser off, and instead I wanted an ER-PPC, well, it requires 3 slots and 7 tons. Well, I took my large laser off and my medium laser, and so now I have 8 tons, which you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner, and 3 extra slots. So the PPC is 3 slots and 7 tons, so I'm good. If I put this in here, it will fit. I'm up to 99 out of 100 tons, and all my slots are full. So the reason why I didn't have it that way is because I wanted the maximum amount of weaponry and all my slots to be full for the greatest amount of heat efficiency. So that's why I left it as it is. Missiles. SRMs are short-range missiles. 2, 4, and 6. Obviously, as you go up in capacity or how many are being fired off, it's going to increase in slots by the time you reach SRM 6, and it's going to increase in tonnage by the time you reach SRM 6. So 1, 2, 3. Streaks. Streaks you can use on the battlefield. It's like an automatic lock, and once you're in range, you can use them in order to actually hit. You have to be in range, obviously. But if a unit has ECM, it's near impossible to get a lock with streaks. So it's great because they're like guided missiles and they will hit, but at the same time, if the unit has ECM, I believe it's only if they're narked and or someone else counters with ECM to disrupt their ECM, can you actually use streak missiles. LRMs, so it goes 5 all the way to 20. Obviously, it increases in slots and tonnage as you reach that LRM 20. And NARC is essentially an accelerator. It helps make missile lock a lot easier. And you can even read it up here. Fire projectile accelerates missile lock, keeps lock longer, and increases missile accuracy. Also counters ECM. So it's 3 tons to put it on there. And it takes up 2 slots, and you also need ammo for it. So, you're not just going to have unlimited NARC ammo. You have to actually, factor that in when you're using the mech. AMS, anti-missile system. So, if you do not have ECM, but you're a big, bulky, crazy-looking mech, and you're slow on the battlefield, well, you might not have ECM like many other units may have, but it does give you the ability to place an anti-missile system on it in case you want to counter any long-range or short-range missiles for that matter. I don't believe it's as effective against shorter range missiles, just because they're usually fired on a horizontal as opposed to a vertical kind of arcing kind of trajectory. So just keep that in mind. If you're ever in short range combat, it might not work as effectively. Ammo. This automatically loads ammo based on the ballistic weapons that I placed into my mech. So right now it's showing AC-20 ammo, which I currently have in my right torso. But if I take my AC-20 out and instead I put in AC-10. Now, you know what? I'll mix it up just so you guys can really see the difference. An LBX-10. If I go over to ammo, this automatically switches. It converges to LB10X ammo because it learns that you do not have any other ballistic weapon, so why am I even going to display ballistic ammo for you? So that's pretty convenient. And again, ammo is only going to be applicable to ballistics weapons because obviously you don't need ammo for a laser, and I shouldn't say that because I just rarely use missiles, but if I did place missiles on here, this would also light up. So if I took, so I'll do that for you. So I'll put, I can fit an LRM-5, so I'll put that in there. And then if I go over to ammo, there you go. There's a line. That totally slipped my mind there for a second. So yeah, obviously for ballistics and missile weapons, anytime you put that kind of weaponry into your mech, when you click on ammo, it will automatically load those specific ammo possibilities for you. Sorry, there's a lot on this interface, and I just have to make sure that I'm giving you guys all the content, and you'll have to forgive me if sometimes some of the stuff slips in my mind. I don't normally use many missiles. Only on a couple builds really do I ever use it, so it totally slipped my mind. I apologize for that if I confused anyone. But yes, you do find the ammo for missiles in the ammo section if you do have a missile hardpoint loaded with a missile weapon. Moving on. Equipment. So double heat sinks, or heat sinks in this matter, fall under the miscellaneous category. That is specifically for heat reduction. So if I add, you can see down here my heat management is 1.13, but if I add a heat sink, it goes to 1.16. So it increases the heat efficiency as you're adding more and more heat sinks. Some people like to load up their mech and have a very low, weapon loadout in order to make sure that it's heat efficient. Case. This is what you use. This is what is placed on a mech when you have ballistics weapons that are in there. So it prevents ammunition explosions from damaging components outside of the case-equipped component. So, for instance, it can only be applicable in the torsos. You can't place it in the legs or the arms or anything like that. And you can see as soon as I click it and I go to drag it, only the left and right torso light up. So you can place case in there. And if I place case in there, that's great. And then if I place LB10X ammo in here, here we go. Oh, I only have a half ton left, so there we go. So if I place that in there, then I know that this ammunition is case protected, so that if my left torso were to get destroyed, the ammo wouldn't explode and damage any other part of the mech. And that's the only time, and it's only applicable right now for inner sphere mechs. So, none of the clan stuff because they automatically come case protected. So you do have to actually manually install case on there if you want to use it. Command console, it just increases sensor range. Oh, there you go. Increases sensor range, zoom, and speed up targeting data. And the Beagle Active Probe, again, increases sensor range. Let's see what else it said on there. Speeds up targeting data and can detect shutdown mechs at a close range. Also counters ECM. So, if you do have streak missiles on this and you use a Beagle Active Probe, it will counter the ECM for you, and you'll be able to fire off those streaks so that you can actually hit the whoever it is that you're trying to hit with the streaks if they do have ECM. Again, these do take up slots and tonnage each. They do costs. There are costs involved with the sensors. So, just pick and choose your spots where you actually want to place them. You can place them really anywhere. I mean, it lets you put it in the right arm, right torso, wherever you want. But you just have to remember, if that part is destroyed, there goes your sensor. Engines. So, I know I've done some videos where I talk about the differences between the standard and the XL, and the XL you blow up and stuff like that. Well, the standard essentially it's a heavier engine and takes up less slots, versus an XL engine, which is a lot lighter and takes up more slots. The difference between them is, with an XL engine, some of the hard points from the engine automatically get placed into your torsos. So if I take right now I have a standard 335. If I take the XL 335, it's not going to let me because I don't have enough C-bells. So if I take the XL, or just for the purposes of this of this whole thing, I'm going to strip him. And when you strip, the strip is right down here. So it's right underneath where I had the layout. If you hit strip mech and I hit strip all equipment, it gives you a clean slate. So you can see I only have 24 tons, 39 slots filled. This is just for the purposes of the video. So right now it's showing that I have an XL 400, or you know what? I'm going to stick to the 335 because that's what I had in the standard version. So if I click the XL 335 and I place it into the center torso, but you will be unable to save the mech while the cost exceeds your balance. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to save without anything loaded on this thing. So right there, it takes up 12 slots, which you could see falls into the left and right torsos. So, the dynamic structure slots are because of this XL engine. Now, if I switch that over and I put in a standard 335 in there, watch the dynamic structure slots go away. This turns to empty. Some of these still stay as dynamic structure slots, but they're not as critical. And you can still overlay on these because it'll just flow over into other portions of the mech that aren't as critical. Now, the problem with the XL, although it's lighter, if a torso were to blow up, your entire mech blows up because essentially it's blowing up part of your engine, and the game reads that as, you blew up part of your engine and so you should die. So you die. That is the difference between the Inner Sphere XL engines and the Clan XL engines. Is the Clan XL engines, even if you do lose a torso, you don't blow up. I don't know why they did that for now, but that's the case right now. And unless they did change something and I just don't realize it if I die, that they took off a torso. But I'm pretty sure that even now, it's only applicable to the Inner Sphere, where if you lose a torso and you have an XL engine, you gonna die. Okay, so that's that. Now, just to switch, just to show you guys the modules, I do not want to save. So it says your loadout has changed. If you continue, all changes will be lost. Continue? Yes. So all my changes were lost. Oh, what a shame. But here we go. So back to my loadout that I had before I stripped it completely. The last tab up here is for modules. So if you go over modules, it tells you mech modules. So for mech modules, you can read through each of these yourself, based on what you want to do, like whether you want to improved here. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Improved hill climb. There we go. Whether you want advanced seismic sensor, so if you're standing close to a bunch of enemy mechs but you don't know where they are, they're not coming up on your radar, your mech can actually feel the vibrations of them walking, and you can actually place this module into your mech so that you can better indicate where the enemy is. You can increase your airstrike accuracy. I mean, speed retention, target info gathering. You can really go through each of these and decide what you want to do for each mech. Really read them carefully, and based on what weight class you're using, certain mech modules are going to be more crucial than others. For instance, if I know, if I'm doing a competitive match on Alpine Peaks and I'm using this guy, I might want Hill Climb, just because I know that it's going to reduces the deceleration rate of slowdown when navigating slopes by 10%. So I know that I'll be more effective in climbing up those ridiculously crazy mountains. Weapons modules. So if you click on the weapons modules, it automatically fills to the weapons that you currently have, whether that's an autocannon, a laser, missiles, something like that. If I wanted to play, so the cooldown, the red bar that when you fire a ballistics weapon, you could see the red bar on the side that slowly goes down, as I had mentioned before. That's the cooldown. So this increases the speed of that cooldown by 12%. It's level 5. I upgraded to level 5. So if I place that in here, and then I want to have my laser cooldowns a lot faster, and I want to increase my AC-20's range, this increases range by 10%. I can fit all 3 of those in there. It cost me 9 million C-bills if I wanted to do that, and that's just for one mech. So really, really, really be careful which mech or weapon modules you want to actually place in your mechs before you actually just run out in the battlefield being like, I think this is great, and then you throw it in there and then you realize you hate it. So I have not unlocked this mech entirely. It is not mastered, so that's why my mech weapon is locked, because once you master it, you get an extra module slot for either a mech module or a weapons module. And that it's the last tier. I could show you guys on here. So for instance, I completely mastered the Hellbringer. I don't know. I'm just shooting at the hip here. If I click in the mech tree, you can see that I unlocked all the basic tier stuff. I unlocked all the elite stuff, including speed tweak. And then once you get to master, it costs 21,500 XP in order to unlock. But this allows me to put another weapon or mech module in my mech. So that's just a little overview into these little tabs up here, going through what each of them means and so forth. Weapon groups, if you have a a mouse with 6 buttons on it and so forth, or something, it goes up to 6, in other words. So if you have more than that, you're shit out of luck. I don't really know what to tell you. You have to cut it down then. But if I want it to be 6, so this says if I fire using weapon or my mouse group number 1, it will fire, and if I fire using mouse group number 6, it will fire. So I could click it for everyone, so that at any time I fire any or click any button on my mouse, it will fire. I like to group them based on the location that they're placed on my mech. So I might group all these 3 weapons, 3 lasers together. I know they're different sizes and so forth, but I'll get to that. So if these are 2 medium lasers and a large pulse laser, for instance, I'll group the 2 mediums together, and then I'll put the large pulse here and the large pulse there. 2 mediums on the other arm, I'll group those together. And I also you can see that I also group them by size. So I put the 2 mediums, and then 2 large pulses. I separated the one other component to it, which is a ballistics weapon. And I separated that into another button, which is I placed as 3. It's its own button. I like using the ballistics weapon, and I'm most familiar with the number 3 key on my mouse. So I placed that one there. Now, when it has this, the circle, that means that first you have to unlock your screen so that your arms can, the actuators can actually go above your line of sight. And if you guys don't know how to do that, that is, I believe, where is that? No, it's on here. It's called arm lock. So if you have arm lock clicked, that means that your arm actuators cannot go above where your actual aimer is. But if you have it unclicked, that means that even though you're looking straight forward, your arms can actuate higher than they would normally if you were just looking straight forward, which I definitely recommend. So I'm going to cancel without saving because I liked my settings, and who knows what it'll do if I hit save. So so this means that your arms, if you take the, that your arms are unlocked so that the actuators can actually go a full, 45 or 60 something degrees further, higher than your line of sight. That's what these weapons are. That's where these weapons are placed. They're all in my arms, as you can see. I have 6 weapons on my arms. This is your torso. It's fixed, so it can't go any higher than your line of sight. You can't angle your torso weapon because it's mounted permanently in that spot. So it can only shoot forward in that line of sight versus your arms weapons. Camo spec. This is where you take it to the paint factory if you want to change the look of it. If I want to switch from green to red. And I think, whoa, that looks sweet. As much of a tool as I sound saying that, you could save it like that. And you can also, and then if you unlock like faction patterns and stuff like that for the clan mechs and so forth, that'll also be another option over here. Whether it's like Clan Wolf, Smoke Jaguar, Jade Falcon, and Ghost Bear, they have their own individual patterns. Then you can customize the colors with them. These unlocked colors over here, these are all inner sphere colors. So if I want to put on, and this is Steiner blue, so I could put on Steiner dark blue, and and really get into the fact that this is inner sphere, and this is helping my inner sphere comrades in the Steiner faction. So you could really pick and choose what you want to do, and it's very, very customizable, which I know a lot of players have appreciated about the game so far. Last thing on this list is the cockpit. So if I click on the cockpit, it automatically groups me to standing items. So these are all the items that if I place them like a disco light, it will be standing in my cockpit. It is not mounted, it's not hanging, it's simply sitting up there on the dashboard, okay? If I do a hanging item, then it shows you where it would be placed. So if I, I go to, let's see here, punching bag? I don't know. If I put the punching bag over here, that goes up here into the hanging portion of your cockpit. And then you can click down here again, and you can click mounted. So if I want to have like a war horn or or lights or something like that, you could click them. The only problem with any cockpit items is that they all are only available for MC. You cannot buy them for C-bills. So man, my cockpit's like glowing now. Jeez. So that's essentially what the cockpit is for. This if I did this setup right now, it would cost me 2,500 MC just for this single mech. So if you do decide to get cockpit items, be very, very picky with it. I apologize if you guys heard in the background. I guess it was another advertisement that came up. I'm not gonna alt tab out of it. We've gotten pretty far into this tutorial for now, so hopefully you guys can already understood everything that I went through. I don't know where that came from. I'll have to check that out later, make sure that doesn't come up again. But so here we go. So that's the mech lab. That's the entire mech lab I just went through with you guys. Whether it's selecting your mech, choosing a loadout for it, grouping your weapons together, figuring out the paint scheme, or placing decorative cockpit items in there. There you go. Now the skills. I know I had already gone through the skills and so forth, but for instance, I just started, I don't know, I'll go to my commando. I've done a couple, no, I haven't done many in a commando, in my fire starter. Now, if you click into the actual arrow next to, whichever mech you're looking at, and you click on Mech Tree, you can see what tier of skills you've already unlocked and the ones that you still do need to unlock. So they will only highlight higher tiers if you upgrade if you upgrade 3 or more variants. So what I mean by that is, in order for me to have unlocked the elite perks to the Hellbringer, I had to get 3 Hellbringer variants all unlocked on the basic tier. Then it unlocks for the elite. Once I get all 3 to the elite, then it goes to master, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. You do need 3 variants of whatever mech you're looking at to be, completely modded, on the basic tier or the elite tier in order to fully master the mech. You can't just say, "Oh, I want to master my Atlas today," and run through this tier if you have 100,000, experience lying around. It's just you can't do that. So they make sure that you really, really earn it if you're going to master the mech. You have to get 3 of them all on the same page, and then you can, reach the higher tiers, which everyone loves the speed tweak, especially because if you're an assault, I mean, to get, it increases your top speed by 10%. Oh, well, it's right there. It increases it by 10%, so that's a huge one. I think it's like 8,500 experience points that you need in order to unlock that one alone. So there you go. That's the skill tree. Now, if you click into faction, this is only if you want to participate in Clan Wars. So, right now I'm in Steiner faction, so we own this little core, section over here. And you can zoom in and out, see who owns what. This map constantly changes based on how everyone does in Clan Wars. So if you take over a planet, then the map will shift, and it'll show like this sliver is gone or this sliver is gone. Whoever is attacking who, you do have to win your attacks in order to move higher in the ranks. And I'm not as familiar with clan warfare as I am with just single drops, but it is a pretty cool experience. You do feel like you're actually, it's manipulating the map, because as you continue to, I guess, win planets, you're making this map change. I mean, I remember when this first started, the clans were all up here, and the 5 factions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut off like right around here. I mean, it was a lot different than it is today. Let's put it that way. You could also look at like the members that you have that are currently in in your unit. Look at your rank. I'm not sure exactly what the coffers do. I guess these just contribute to your unit. As they are. Faction loyalties are personal achievements, so it gives you ranks based on, how often you participate in clan wars, and it gives you bonuses for that. I'm gonna go, and then if you want to break, wait, that's faction loyalties. I just clicked that, and then if I want to break my contract. You can break your contract. You do pay a penalty, though, in C-bills if you do want to break your contract early, because it's kind of like leaving your faction unit that you had signed up for that you initially created the contract with. So it's kind of like anything else. You break the contract, you have to pay. Simple as that. If you're within 3 days, look at that. 2 hours and 54 minutes of time left on my contract, and that's the reason why it will not let me break it. So that's just a little tutorial into the clan warfare side of things. So once you pick your faction, you will be fighting for them, and you could pick either a very long contract or something as short as, I believe it's like a week or something like that. I'm not really sure what the shortest time frame is. As for, if we go back to the home screen here, achievements actually shows everything. it'll show whether you're in whatever clan you're in, whatever faction you're in. It all depends on what you want to do, but it'll show your stuff for that. So it'll like Free Hog Republic. I reached the second or third tier rank for them in clan warfare. And it just gives you like these cool little ranks next to your name. If you when you get, or like when you achieve that tier, in other words. That's what I'm trying to say. Jeez. So then you can also go to statistics. If you go to statistics, that will bring you to the web browser where you can look at your stats, where you can find your kill-death ratio, how many kills you're getting on a match, how many wins you're getting on a certain map, depending on which game plays you have, or game modes you have unlocked. It'll show you, how many kills you get in that gameplay, or how many wins you have on this map in this game mode. So it really breaks it down pretty granular for you, to show you, exactly how you're doing in each game mode and on each map, and how you're doing as an individual pilot. So that's pretty cool to look at sometimes. Redeem code for any of you guys who have won recently in the giveaways that I've been giving to you. You can actually click on this and it'll take you right to where you can redeem any of the stuff that I send you. Testing grounds, that's specifically for you. So if I click testing grounds, it'll load me onto a map where I can just do target practice, or like use my weapons and see how heat efficient it is, and so forth. You can also do tutorials, so it'll show you and guide you, like kind of how I'm trying to do right now, guide you around MechWarrior, so that you can pick and choose, which aspects of the game that you're not familiar with, that you want a little bit more, clarity on. And the last thing here is titles and badges, which are also customizable. So right now, I have Ace of Spades, which you can only get if you get 7 kills in a match. I think I only ever got that once, but it's totally fine with me. I don't, I only need it once to unlock it. So you can actually click into seeing all this stuff on the breakdowns of your achievements, if you want to really find out how to get each of these. I know the Death Star, for instance, that's if you get all 12 kills in a match. So obviously everyone strives for that at some point, just to get the achievement title. That would be sweet, because then everyone knows, damn, that dude wrecked house, one match or another. And you can find out exactly what it takes to get to each of these. I'm not going to go through those with you. Within the badges, you can pick, like if you get certain mech packages, it allows you to, choose and pick which one you want to place on there. I picked the Slayer, for instance. It's just something cool, little customizable thing. So when you drop into a match and you hit Q, or you hold down on Q, you can really you can see what their badges and titles and all that cool stuff are. As for down here, it tells you what currently your battle mech is, how much general XP you have with that battle mech, how much premium time you have, broken down into days, hours, and minutes. And if you have any banked, you can click activate, and this will unlock all of your premium time. If you only want to do 30 days at a time, I suggest going on to the MWO website first and going into your profile, and then where it says unlock, or use 30 days of premium time or something like that, you can click on that and only activate 30 days if you have more than 30 days banked, so that just in case you ever take a lapse or a break from the game or something like that, you're not wasting your money or anything that you had spent, whether it was in a tournament or whatever, gaining all this premium time. And it just, because this is a constant clock. This doesn't, it doesn't know like, oh, it'll only apply for the 11 days, 5 hours, and 56 minutes you're online. It's completely, in 11 days, 5 hours, and 56 minutes, I will not have any more premium time. Simple as that. Underneath that, mech credits. Tells you how many mech credits you have, C-bills you have, and general XP you have. So what I meant to mention was this XP is XP that I have accumulated with just this mech. GXP is general XP, which you can use as a substitute in the skills section. So if I want to upgrade my fire starter, I have 0 experience with him. It's showing me right here I have 0 experience with my currently selected battle mech. But if I want, and I'll do it just for you guys, I'll use some of my GXP here. If I want to improve my anchor turn, which increases my turning speed by 10%, I hit unlock, and as soon as you hit unlock, it says you cannot use mech XP because you don't have any. But you can use general XP because you have 55,000 of it, and this costs 3,500. So if I click that, yes, yes, and there you go. It's unlocked. So GXP is a great way where if you're having trouble leveling up a mech and getting into those different tiers of content, you can use the general XP and it works wonders. I mean, it's as simple as that. You know, it's because especially getting to like that master level or something like that where it costs 21,500 XP to unlock the module slot here. If you have it banked in GXP. Some people just like to do that so they don't have to go through the pain and suffering of trying to get that last layer of mastery in there. So that's a pretty basic overview of everything. Pilot trees, this just shows you, the stuff that, like I was showing you before, the weapons modules, the mech modules, and so forth. This just shows you what tier of weapons and mech modules that you have. So obviously when you start at, like, for instance, SRM 4 range, it starts at 1 out of 5, and that costs GXP. So this is what GXP's original intention was for. But once you have all this unlocked, then you can start using GXP for your mechs to upgrade their skills on a mech level. So the only reason why I have so much banked is because I have unlocked all of the weapons, skills, ranges, and stuff like that. Like these modules, when they're applied, like it'll say, like for instance, the ERPPC range. It might say at level 1 out of 5, you only get 2% increase in range. 2 out of 5, you get 4%. 3 is 6%. 4 is 8%, and then 5 out of 5 is the highest that it can go, fully unlocked, and it increases the ERPPC range by 10%, as you can see there to the right. So you just have to keep in mind, like, I mean, you're not going to run around and just blow all your GXP, you do not want to just go around and start blowing until you have completely finished unlocking the pilot modules tiers. Highly suggest going through all those first beforehand. So this just breaks it down. I always keep it on all, but it breaks it down into mechs, consumables, and weapons, so you can really see what's being applied where. And I believe that's it. This takes you to the store, so if I click it, and it'll just take me to either the home, the bundles that you can get, like if you want an entire mastery pack of the Griffin or something like that. This all costs MC, so do keep that in mind before you just go out and start using MC to buy mastery packs and so forth. If I use it on anything, I use it on a mech, like and like a battle mech, like a hero mech, which are the only ones which you can only buy for MC. Mech bays also cost MC, so keep that in mind. If you do want more mech bays, you will have to use MC for it. And there's boosters. The boosters are premium time, so this is how you get banked premium time. You can buy, up to 360 days of premium time, which is almost a year, for 24,000 MC if you really want, or consumable stuff. So if you want to use it for one time on the battlefield, you go right ahead. But just so you know, you can buy as many of each as you want, but you just have to be careful of whether it's MC or C bills that you're using. Oh. That was a lot of talking. I'm sure you guys are probably like, "Oh my gosh, just be quiet already." This was a 54-minute tutorial that I just came up on. Just a couple other quick things to select which game modes you want to go into. The little arrow next to the Play Now button, that sets your matchmaking preferences. So if you want to say, I get a horrible ping if I go into the Oceanic servers, that's why I have it unchecked. I have North American, European because my ping stays pretty stable. Game modes. I hate Conquest. We all know I hate Conquest. So I either stick to Skirmish or Assault. So, those are my game mode settings right now. That, if I could either select or deselect them all. If, I'm trying to find a quicker match or something like that, I'll just check them all in order to drop pretty quick. So that's the game modes. Play now, obviously, that just launches you into the queue, and you can begin playing as soon as it finds a match for you. Down here, the friends list. So you have your friends list. If you're in a unit, it tells you who's on from your unit. If you have any alerts, that tells you if you do have like a pending friend request or a public group invite. Like if I were to invite you guys to a match, which I hope to at some point with all of you, you will find my alert to join my group in the alerts section, which you can just click on, and then it'll say my name, and it'll say public group invite, and then you click it, and then say join group, or whatever it says. Never used looking for group queue button before. I believe if you join that, then it puts you in the group queue for, like, if there's like 4 people in a group that are dropping or something like that, it throws you in with that as opposed to just a solo Puggy McPug match. If you can create your own group, you cannot drop in a group if it's just you. It has to be one or more other than yourself. If you create a group, so if I hit a group, it selects whether you want to do a public group or a community warfare group. I will do a public group. I can hit ready, but it will not let me launch because I'm the only one. Total one. You cannot just launch yourself into the group queue. This is specifically for groups. That's why it's called the group queue. So I'm gonna leave this, but But before I go, if you do have a 12-person group, which they may be changing very, very soon, I believe it's on the 22nd. They might be switching to only a maximum of 4 people in a group, in a drop group. In a group drop. I'm getting lost now. In a group drop, you won't be able to have like these tiers here where it's like, because if you have a 12-person group, they allow you to have 3 of each, so 3 lights, mediums, heavies, and assaults. You can't have more than 3 of each class when you're doing a group drop. So apart from that, there is one thing, and this is probably the most important aspect of, how you currently build your mechs, and that is the quirks, which I know they're going to be removing pretty soon. But just so that you guys know that they were there and that they existed at some point in time, I'm going to show you, for instance, if I hover over a hunchback. The quirks summary, if you look to the right, I don't want to go off of it because then it'll go away. So if you look to the right where the quirk summary is, it tells you where the hard points are. So it shows you it has 2 ballistics, 3 energy, and 1 missile. And 1 AMS if you want it, but I never use it. So let's keep going here. My loadout, I'll do this guy, for instance. This is a hero mech. This is the Hunchback Gridiron, and it tells me I get an increased energy range of 25%, a ballistic cooldown of plus 25%, missile cooldown of plus 15%, Gauss rifle cooldown of plus 25%, medium pulse laser range and cooldown. This is a summary of all the quirks that are special, particularly to this mech and this mech only. So you will only find this set of quirks applicable to this hunchback. If I go to one of my other hunchbacks, this guy, he has an entirely different set of quirks. He has medium laser, cooldown and duration, as opposed to cooldown and range. So you really, when you go to buy a mech, whether it's with C-Bills, MC, whatever you're using, keep an eye on the quirks. That's because if you like using the weapons that are in the quirk list, and it's a weight class that you're comfortable with, that you like using, and that you have a lot of fun with, you're gonna want to buy it. Simple as that. And that's probably going to be the next one that you do buy. So I bought this one because I liked the Gauss cooldown. Oh my gosh. I liked the Gauss cooldown. I liked the ballistics cooldown. So the Gauss cooldown is 25%. The ballistics cooldown is 25%. Um, you know, and then I added the weapons module of Gauss cooldown to it. So in total, I believe I have it at like it's like 62 or something like that percent Gauss cooldown. So that just makes the rate of fire that much faster. So that's just an example. Then if you go to like this guy, the Centurion, he has an entirely different set of quirks. AC-20 in specifically range, velocity, and cooldown. That's a quirk. Ballistic range, velocity, and cooldown. So any other ballistics that you use. So if I use an AC-10, only the ballistic range, velocity, and cooldown quirk will apply. The fact that I have the AC-20 on there, now this applies both the quirks from the AC-20 and the ballistic, general quirks to it. So really, as you click into each mech that you that you want to get, like I'll just show you even just in the general thing here in the store. I just hovered over a mist links, and then it gives me all this additional stuff like machine gun range. It just shows you the quirks that are specific to this mech by itself. Because obviously not every mech is going to be the same, so they want to show that the differences between them and give you more incentive to wanting to use these on the battlefield. Okay, I think that just about wraps it up here for this tutorial on MechWarrior Online. I'm sorry for the interruptions with the, I believe it was probably a commercial, and crashing to screen there, because I do have a couple other things running right now, so maybe it's just like stop using everything. I'm not really sure, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was a very informative tutorial on the mechs, the loadouts, the quirks, the skills, the factions, the you name it. I just hope that it was more informative and more self-explanatory for you guys to understand exactly how mechs are built, and where to find certain things, and how to customize. I mean, the MechWarrior is online is everything's customizable now, which is pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. And I have some new news coming out pretty soon for the next giveaway that I plan to do. I think I'm going to, and this might be a long shot, but I think I'm going to do for 250 subscribers. There are scribes and medieval scribes. No. 250 subscribers. If I can get to 250 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away 5 of one of my most favorited mechs of all time, which is the Stormcrow. Yes, I'm going to be giving away 5 clan mech Stormcrows to you guys. If I can get to 250 subscribers, so please spread the channel around, because the faster that I get there, the faster you guys are going to get your stuff. For those of you who do win, again, it is going to be a random drawing. 250 subscribers, that would be crazy to get to, and I know it might be a while off. That's why I need all of you guys who have been watching the channel and listening so far to help me out with this. I've been doing giveaways. I've been giving a lot of feedback. I've been doing a lot of emails and gameplay with you guys. Please continue to help support my channel and support this journey that I'm on to just getting a ton of some people that like the channel and stuff like that. I really appreciate all the support that I've got so far. But if you can help me get to that 250 subscriber mark, I will be giving away 5 Stormcrow clan variants to you guys. I believe it is the B variant. I have to double check which one I would be giving away. But so yeah, and anytime there's a free clan mech coming up, that's when it's really customizable, because on the clan mechs in particular, if I were to click on the Prime, you have omnipods, and the omnipods allow for you to take the variant that you have and place a different torso, arm, anything on that based on your liking of the weapons that you want to use. So right now, let's say I want to use the right arm of the B variant. This is the prime variant. This has 6 energy hard points, and all I have to do is click and drag it, and that gives me 6 possibilities with this arm to put 6 lasers on it. It costs money, obviously, for each Omnipod. It costs almost 280,000 C-bills for each one that you place, because this is the prime variant. So anything other than the prime's arms, torsos, and head, and so forth, you will have to pay, to get those different spots put on there. But it's 100% customizable to what you want your loadout to be. So, and obviously the purple meaning ballistics, yellow is energy, green is missiles, the light green is AMS, and the orange is ECM. So yes, for mechs like the my light here, like an Arctic Cheetah, you can see that it has this orange indicator here for you to place ECM into it. So 100% customizable mech is what I'm offering if I can get to 200 and oh my gosh! If I can get to 250 subscribers, I guess it's running out of time here because I'm at an hour and 6 minutes. I've been going through this tutorial with you guys. So yeah, there you go. It's completely customizable with the Omnipods, which is what makes Clan Mech so awesome, that you can, literally put the loadout that you are strongest with, which is insane and great, and that's why people love them. With that being said, thank you guys so much again for the support and, even subscribing to the channel. I do hope to see you guys on the battlefield. If you do want to do some drops, leave me a comment in the description section below. Shoot me an email. I'll add it to this. I'll add it to this video. And if you want to be in the drawing for the Stormcrow, I'm going to be starting collecting. Oh my gosh, my brain is getting fried. Okay, if you want to be in the drawing for the Stormcrow, send me an email, because I am starting the collection box of emails for anyone who wants to be in the drawing for the Stormcrow. Again, I will be giving 5, cinco, funf, however else you can say it in 5 Clan Mech Stormcrows. Okay? Anyway, thank you guys so much again for listening to the video. I hope this is more informative and it helps a lot of you new players or returning older players understand how the game has developed and the new interface and how to use it. Again, I switch my layout here to columns so that you guys can see my mech. If you want to switch it back over, you just switch the layout up here as either column or expanded. So thank you guys again, and I look forward to seeing you guys all on the battlefield. Take care.